I'm Grace Victory, or Gracie Francesca. I am a full-time blogger, YouTuber, published author, presenter, and most of my content is around empowerment and mental health. So I do a lot of fashion content to empower big girls so they can dress well. And then I do a lot of stuff around trauma, eating disorders, and healing. I was in therapy for a year, and then I came out in October, so I share my whole journey around getting well. And I also do body confidence and all that good stuff.
I am the current reigning Miss Pinup UK. I am, thank you. I'm a burlesque dancer and a singer and performer as well.
I am Tallia Storm. I am a singer-songwriter and also published author. And I have been singing since I was 13. I got discovered by Elton John, which I was very fortunate for. And little baby Tallia got to open his concert. Since then, I've done TED Talks. I just released an album called Teenage Tears. And I'm very excited to be here and talk to you amazing people. I think confidence is so important. I think it's one of these things that just comes with experience. I don't think you can be taught it. I don't think no matter how many people tell you to be confident and to pull yourself together, does it mean anything? Are you going to take it personally? I feel as if you have to actually go out there into the real world and experience it firsthand. Whether the first couple of times you're in a situation and you're completely frazzled and you just if you're anything like me, I just get so nervous and I'm sweat dripping down my face. I'll never forget the first ever interview I did. It's still on YouTube to this day. And I look at it and I cringe for my life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the state of me. My hair was wet. I was so nervous. But it just, after, interview after interview, after experience, after just putting yourself into these situations, then you just kind of grow with it. So yes, you could say that I feel as if everybody just has to learn in their own way. But I do think it's so important. And I'll pass over to these lovely ladies.
Thank you. I do think that, I don't think that it's just a female crisis. I think the want and need and instillment of conformity in society has taught us that we need to be confident and we need to be this as women. But I think men suffer from that as well. I think different situations breed different types of confidence in different situations. So I don't think it's just women. However, I think because of the pressures that are put on us, we have been put in a state of confidence crisis rather than... Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe some babbling. I'll hand it over to you.
I think that both men and women have confidence issues, but I think it manifests in different ways. So, for instance, my boyfriend hasn't got a lot of confidence socializing, whereas I'm yes, I can talk. But then in other situations, I'll be oh, and he'll be yes. So I think it all depends on the situations. And I do think as well in terms of body confidence, I think that men and women have confidence issues, but I think the pressure is higher on women. And I think, again, it's in different ways. And I think that women and men express their insecurities differently too. Where do I begin? I think I love social media. Obviously, my whole career is on social media. But people obviously compare themselves to someone's highlight reel and forget that sometimes all of that, what you see on Instagram or YouTube, isn't always real. And I think we get sucked into looking at someone who's in, I don't know, Bali, and she's tanned and got amazing long hair, and then you compare how you look to that. And I think a massive, massive issue is that we don't see a lot of diversity. And when I diversified my social media feeds and followed people that are older than me, dark-skinned girls, girls that are bigger than me, disabled people, you start seeing the variety of the world. But I do think there's an issue with Instagram only showing you certain people and certain women that look a certain way, but you have to go out there and find the beauty in the world in order to realise that, you know, you're beautiful too. And just because someone else is amazing doesn't mean that you're not. And I just think we live in a world where women are pinned against each other, and we're told to be smaller, be quieter, all the time in little ways, diet adverts for slimming stuff or whatever it is. And I just think when you educate yourself and realise that you're fine just the way you are, that changes the way you view the world. We have a long way to go, but I feel like there's people trying like us.
Absolutely. I think we do have a long way to go, but as long as we have people out there that are showing diversity, changes in mental health, changes in the media, then, you know, we're on the right path. But I think if going off my social media, I don't have very many followers. I'm quite a basic level with Instagram and things like that. But I would hate for 14-year-old me to look at my pictures now. So I always think about, you know, I get a lot of messages from young people wanting to do the job that I do and look the way that I do, follow my pin-up style and stuff. And I just think, actually, this is me. This is how I look. This is how I dress day to day. This is how I always come across. But actually, sometimes I'm a bit of an idiot. Oh, I nearly swore. Sorry, I knew that was going to happen. And I like to show that as well. I'm quite proud of that side of myself. So I always try, for every nice picture there is of me on Instagram, there's a silly picture of me or a silly video of me. Or a girl came up to me the other day and went, "Oh, I love your Instagram feed and I love your job and your style and stuff, but I absolutely love your stories because they're just of me in my silk turban, living life with my cats," name drop, boom. With my cats, drinking a cup of tea or drinking a whiskey or something like that, with no makeup on, living my life. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Get that double chin out now.
So yeah, you know, you've got to be real. You can't just put an idea out of yourself. You've got to be real as well, and think about the generation that are coming as well, and how I don't want them to be like how I was, and look at women and think, I have to be like that. I don't have to be like that at all. I can actually quite comfortably be myself, and I'm quite proud of that as well.
So, I think we've established that Instagram is not real life. I wrote a song, and I put it out last year, and I called it The Good Lie. And yes, this song was a lovely, light-hearted play on the fact that Instagram is one big lie. We like to act like our lives are perfect, pretty, summery, you know, fabulous, and the reality is that, you know, maybe we're not eating 10 donuts and in one day we're actually at the gym and we just like the donuts on our feed. So I filmed a music video last year, and we literally highlighted every single good lie that I am guilty of, that my friends are guilty of, and we made this really fun video. So we highlighted the fact that no, we aren't actually flying on private jets, which we put in the video, and we are actually on EasyJet, not even speedy boarding, we're just EasyJet. What else did we have in there? We had boats in there, which we're definitely not on. We had us looking fabulous in bikinis on the beach, which is definitely not my everyday attire. I am at home eating the donuts. And, you know, I think it had quite a good almost reception on Instagram and social media, because everyone was actually kind of like, you know what? We are actually telling lies, but why are we actually doing it? But we're telling lies because, well, she's telling lies, and she's telling lies, I have to tell a lie. And it's kind of like, well, that's taking the fun out of Instagram. So although I am guilty of still taking fabulous sunny pictures that might not be real, I do try and show, you know, the real Tallia, the young Tallia, is carry on with her younger brothers, who's just not wearing makeup, and who is celebrating the fact that I'm 19 years old. So at the end of the day, we need to remember that the gram isn't real. I see a lot of trolls, you know, whether it's like an article posted on me and I'll get some beef. But you know what? Somebody said in the earlier talk, they were like, well, actually, the beef just fuels me to work even harder. And that's what happens. You know, when people are saying mean things, I have very thick skin. You know, I come from a family of 6, so I have 2 younger brothers and an older sister. And in our house, you had to shout to be heard. So I'm used to being bullied by my siblings, so I know how to deal with it. But I know a lot of people out there just don't know how to cope with just even a negative Instagram comment, and it is very difficult. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, you're impacting their life enough for them to even be thinking about you, and you should be taking that as a massive compliment, because we're not sitting here thinking about them, and it's just that simple. So jealousy is a curse, and you just have to remember that you are fabulous.
Wonderful, thank you, babe. I've been very lucky. I've never, I think it's because I don't have many followers, but yeah, I'm at the 1,000, all right? We can't be all at 52, you know, 52,000, yeah. I have never come across it, but that doesn't mean I haven't come across bullying or seen it myself or tried to stop it myself. I'm a firm believer that if you are watching it happen, you are allowing it to happen, you're just as bad. So I will always stand up for it. For example, a good friend of mine, Miss Chandelier, she's Miss Pinup International 2016, absolutely stunning, gorgeous, everything that you would, you know, look up to. She's beautiful inside and out. She got trolled on a picture of her in vintage lingerie, and she looked peng, like I am talking banging, right? And she's got a gorgeous figure, and someone trolled her through Instagram, and I was just like, no, you can't do that. And it was a woman that said that she followed vintage lingerie and vintage style, and I just think, if you are doing that, you are not supporting the industry, and you are not supporting those people. And so this girl, Miss Chandelier, started hashtag pinups against body shaming, and it has gone viral. I'm not even kidding you, it is viral. And it has changed the way that clothing companies, pinup girls, vintage Instagramming is seen, you know? We don't want that in there, and we shouldn't have it anywhere. Just because I've been up doesn't mean that, you know, everyone else is fine. We shouldn't have it anywhere. If you've got a negative comment, think about how you can turn it into a positive. Because at the end of the day, that one comment can change the way someone thinks about their day, that minute, that, you know, they could be having a really rubbish day, and you type that comment, you know, you don't even want to think about how that can affect that person. So just, I think, really think about what you put on Instagram, and what you say on, not just Instagram, social media.
So I've been trolled. And so with like responding to a troll or just like a negative comment, because trolling and negative comments I think are a bit different. And no one likes negative comments. No one likes that. I hate it, and I'm working on it. I'm trying to be a better person. But I think it depends what mood I'm in with how I respond. So if I'm due on and I'm angry, they're going to have to get dragged. And I don't always recommend it, but if it's like a racist comment, or it's a comment that I feel like would affect my audience if they would read it, then they're going to get dragged. And that is when like the sassy grace comes to play. However, when I'm like my normal calm Zen self, I either reply saying I'm praying for your healing, because I feel like people that are negative usually have their own stuff to deal with, and when you respond to hate with love, they don't know what to do, and their reaction's like, oh shit, oh. Their reaction's like, oh damn. And I quite like that, but it does depend on the mood I'm in, I'm not gonna lie. But I do think you have to be compassionate. And I'm learning to be compassionate, but like the old me, teenage Grace, is fiery. And sometimes I do have to just do a little clap back, just a little clap back. But yeah, that's what I sometimes do. The body positive community is like my saving grace. So I had an eating disorder, and I was a lot thinner than I am now. And I used to share my journey of like, lost 2 pounds this week. And it was very damaging from a very, very negative place. And that type of language and content is everywhere you go, magazines, Instagram, everywhere. And when I went into therapy and treatment and stuff and found body positivity, I realized that I wanted my environment and my content to be a really safe space for people to be who they are and not try and conform to be thinner or look a certain way. So seeing like naked bodies and women showing their stretch marks and their rolls and cellulite and uneven skin tone, I was like, oh my God, I have that. And kind of like recognizing that flaws don't actually exist and that it's just, you know, the diet industry trying to sell us a product to fix us. So that has helped massively, and I feel like body positivity is just a great community for people to like see other bodies, and through doing that they realize, you know, their own body is amazing just the way it is.
I think social media at its most positive is when we are sharing those stories. So that's why I said earlier that I don't, as much as I love a cheeky airbrush and a cheeky like get rid of that spot and stuff like that, I try to be as real as I can, as real as you would come up to me and see me physically. That's what I try to put out there. And as much as I love sharing a model and picture and things like that, that is a part of my life, and I love to celebrate that, and I think we should celebrate that. But a big part of my life was my mental health. I suffered from anxiety and depression for a long time. Far beyond even help, I realized that I had those problems, you know? And I think social media has helped me because I was able to share my story and able to connect with people that also had the same social issues as me. And it was really funny, the girls came up to me and went, you know, you're in the female confidence section. And I was like, this is weird for me, because as much as I'm confident, if you saw me on stage, you would never know that the things that are going on up here, you wouldn't ever see them. That's because I'm trained and I know what I'm doing, you know. But yeah, you would never see them. And I think sharing those experiences and sharing those times for me, be it in person or social media, has been a massive release for me. And seeing other people do what I do has been, in a sense, my saviour, similarly to you.
I loved what you said about being perceived as one thing and thinking another thing. And it's very easy for us to just look at all these fabulous people around us and think, wow, they have it easy. Wow, they've got it all covered. But actually, we're thinking just the same things you are. You know, we're beating ourselves up inside. But actually, at the same time, it's like, you know what? Just remember that we are great. And I think as easy it is to bash Instagram and say, you know, this social media generation, they're all a joke living on their phones. You know, we actually need to celebrate how amazing it is, because Instagram, for me, you know, that's how I built almost my business, and that's how I pay for my studio time. You know, I turned Instagram into my business, and I do a lot of like influencing, and I do a lot of fashion and things, and I do this because that pays for my time in the studio, and that pays for my mixing engineers and my mastering, and I think that's it's so important, even just for smaller businesses, you know, and the fact that we can discover other people, you know, we can discover you know, brow people that you would just never find there at the other end of London, and have a cute wee, you know, store that you can go in and get your brows done, or your nails we were talking about earlier, or your donuts. You know, I think it connects a whole generation that we should really just celebrate, because it's so inspiring to just kind of give smaller businesses and you know, smaller, you know, even just influencers a chance to discover their amazing content. I think confidence boosting, my always tip is just be yourself. You know, the moment you try to become somebody else and you try and give yourself somebody else's pointers, it is over. You have to get on that stage, you have to get into that workplace and just believe in yourself. And I know that's very difficult to say because when I was younger, okay, I am still a baby. When I was a baby, like now, I would always think, oh my goodness, I can't do it. But it's actually like, you know what? The only person that can convince yourself that you can do it is yourself. For me, I am a big believer in YouTube videos. I don't even go to the gym. Guys, open up YouTube and all of your workouts are there because I do it in my living room. There's no excuse. The same way there's no excuse for, oh my goodness, I don't know the right tips to kind of battle with my anxiety, because I definitely deal with it. But if I ever get anxious, well, the first thing I do is I Google yoga for anxiety. And it works. Honestly, there's so much on there. I can't stress it enough. If you're ever having a bad day, guys, into YouTube, yoga for anxiety, and it really works. So you know what? The internet is a fabulous place.
I think as a performer, I still very much struggle with being myself. So I do my own singing gigs in different places. And the bit that I hate the most is the talking in between, which you probably can't tell now because I'm actually being quite articulate, but that's because I've really thought about everything I'm saying tonight. But, just introducing the next song for me is a hurdle. And you just think, but I'm singing on stage, and some people really panic and worry about doing that. They would absolutely hate it. So why is the talking in between such a problem? It's still a hurdle that I'm overcoming, and I'm getting there with it. I spoke to an audience the other day for 5 minutes, and they're an older audience. They're Warner Leisure Hotels. They're an older audience about erotica. Because I accidentally said, oh, this song's a bit ironic, and then it just kind of spiraled. So yeah, that was interesting. But the biggest piece of advice I would ever give to anyone with confidence issues, body issues, mental health problems, is to go to a burlesque class. Now, a lot of people would think, but I don't want to be naked in front of people. You don't have to be naked in front of people. It's about the self-expression and the self-discovery that burlesque can truly give you. So 2 years ago, I decided to give it a go. And I got an incredible opportunity to do it on tour in front of about 900 people for my first ever time debuting as a burlesque performer. And I stood next to my best friend, and she was like, you could do it, Georgia, you could do it. I was like, I don't think I can. I think I'm just going to keep my bra on. And she was like, if you keep your bra on, I'm going to walk on there and I'm going to take it off. And she was like, you've got to think, nobody's seen this performance before. Nobody's seen this act before. Nobody's seen you before. Just embrace that idea that nobody can judge you on anything because this is the first time they've seen it. And as soon as my brain sort of logged into that idea, I was hooked and I was confident, and I took my clothes off the way I've never taken my clothes off before, and also being...
I'm just picturing it in my head.
Yeah, I was girl. But I was dressed as a dinner lady.
Okay. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. Got to get your kinks somehow, right, guys? But yeah, I turned into this goddess, and But there's so many people I've come across in the industry that started out that way. They were like, I was body shamed, or I felt uncomfortable, and I didn't like the way I looked, and I had cellulite, and I had a stomach for my kids, and they went to a burlesque class and their life changed. So for me, that would be my biggest piece of confidence advice. Because if you can get naked in front of people, you can do anything. Come on, girl.
Ready.
Off we get. Da, da, da,
I feel like what I've learned from you and you is that you can't grow when you're comfortable, right? So I feel like you're trying to say, be about your comfort zone, which I absolutely agree with. But for me, I think I was just born confident. I genuinely think sometimes it's just who you are. And I've never really had an issue with confidence. But I will say that a massive piece of advice is to work on your self-worth. Once you really value yourself, the kind of the belief and the confidence comes with that. And people that come to me like, oh, I'm really struggling with I think it's like imposter syndrome people suffer with, and different issues. And I always say, what's meant for you is for you. So if you're in a situation where you feel uncomfortable because you've got to do public speaking or whatever, you have to believe that this is what you're meant to be doing. And sometimes the best things come out of a really scary situation. So you just have to ride the wave and trust that you'll be able to swim and not drown. Yes. Love a good skincare routine, and I feel like it's time to really show yourself that you love yourself and you're willing to practice some self-care. So I've got some 2 hero products that you all need to buy. So the first one is the Emma Hardy cleansing balm. It's like a spa on your face, and it's just, yeah, there was a clap. People know, okay? People know. And it lasts ages because you only need a really small amount, and it takes off your makeup, and afterwards you're like a glowing angel. I love it. And then the second thing is the Glam Glow mask. It's a silver one. It's in the purple tub, and I swear to you, you put it on, you peel it off, the next day your skin is plump and just glowing. And it's honestly, it's my secret. People always say you've got great skin. That's my 2 secret products. Share with the whole world right there.
I love makeup and experimenting with makeup. So the foundation that I use and primer I use is NYX. They're the best thing I've ever had on my face. I can get really bad acne and spots and stuff, but I've never had a really bad one with this. Go and get it. NYX. The drop one, the dew one, drop, and then the primer is the Fashion Fix primer, I think. Yeah. And then the best colour makeup is Charlotte Tilbury. Oh, goddess. And I bought her Vintage Vamp set, and that eyeshadow palette, God. I just can't even, and a power lip, always a red or a purple for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the opposite.
What?
Nude.
You're a nude
Or
girl.
it's all in the eyes, just dramatic.
So I'm both. I don't believe necessarily in those sorts of boundaries. I think you find what works for you, and that's what gives you confidence.
So I spend more money on my beauty routine than I actually do my wardrobe because I'm just so obsessed with makeup. So I think 2 really important things. First of all, I'm so into like perfume, right? Because if you're smelling good, everything else just falls into place. It is what it is. I'm really into Juicy Couture, believe it or not. It's my first ever perfume when I was like 10. And I've just stuck with it since. So like any Juicy Couture perfume, but my favorite is like the electric pink one. Amazing. Hair. Having a good hair day. Everything else is just perfect. Doesn't even matter what's on the face because the hair is glowing. Really into like a really good shampoo and conditioner. Always use L'Oreal. Can't go wrong. In terms of makeup, live for a gloss. So I will go usually like Charlotte Tilbury or Urban Decay for the eyes because they just do the best palettes. We all know it. I think Urban Decay Heat at the moment is my favourite. But yeah, so much choice out there, guys.